Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the video version of my Tech Guy podcast so that you don't have to download 4 hours of video. We've kind of chopped it down a little bit to give you just the best of. These are shows from Saturday and Sunday, February 26th and 27th, 2011. My first shows back from my vacation, episodes 747 and 748. Enjoy. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. And it's time to talk about tech. Computers, yeah, the internet and cell phones and camcorders and MP3 players and home theater. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 1-888-827-5536. I'm just back from a 3-week trip to South America around Cape Horn. Didn't make it to Antarctica because the weather was bad. And, you know, I was with Steve Wozniak, the inventor of the Apple computer, and about 40 other Macintosh geeks trying to get to Antarctica on this Mac Mania cruise. The cruise wasn't about Antarctica. It was just kind of a side trip. And everybody was kind of bummed. I was bummed. We all had, you know, frowny faces on. But then I realized this is Antarctica we're talking about. You know, Shackleton tried to get there, had to eat his dogs, and still didn't get there. You know, I mean, the ship froze. They practically died. It was a year in the wilderness. They were lost, and they still didn't get there. So I shouldn't feel that bad. Oh, gee, my flight was canceled. That's not so bad, is it? I'll just have to make a separate trip. But I did see some beautiful things, and I got to see a little bit of the technology going on in South America. I met with entrepreneurs and bloggers in Buenos Aires, and that was so cool. It was kind of spontaneous. I didn't plan it. I tweeted, I'm in town. Hello. Actually, all I wanted to know is, where's a good place to eat tonight? And somebody tweeted me back, oh, I said, where should I go? They said, San Telmo. That's a nice area. Okay. Where should I eat? Somebody tweeted me back, Cafe San Juan. I said, okay. And I tweeted, I'll be at Cafe San Juan if anybody wants. 6 people showed up. We had a great conversation. One of them was a reporter for the big newspaper in Buenos Aires. He interviewed me. It was so much fun. The next day, same thing, lunch with 6 or 7 entrepreneurs. And what a vital tech scene they have in Buenos Aires. It's actually, it was really fascinating. Very entrepreneurial, very web-focused. There are challenges. You know, we forget that we have this great infrastructure in the U.S. for entrepreneurs. I've talked now to entrepreneurs in South America and in Europe about the climate there. And it's very different. It's very hard. You know, if you are in the U.S. and you've got a good idea, maybe you're a high school kid or you're a college student, like, say, I don't know, a Mark Zuckerberg, sophomore at Harvard. You know a little bit of programming. You don't need any money up front. You can go to Amazon has this thing called EC2 that allows you to create a website very inexpensively. You have all the program. Google has a similar situation set up where you can express your idea, make it a reality, prove it works, and then go look for money. And then there's all sorts of interesting ways to look for money. I've got actually 2 entrepreneurs in studio with me, Eric and Chris. Eric has a company called FullScreenPhotos.com. Chris has a company called PairTreeNetworks.com, P-A-I-R. They both are startups. They're out for a conference called the Launch Conference, which is the whole idea of the conference is you get a bunch of young entrepreneurs. They don't have to be young. They can be my age. Entrepreneurs who have great ideas, who are doing something, maybe on their own dime, because you can. You don't even have to max the credit card these days. And they're looking for somebody to put some money into it so they can go to the next level. And so a conference like Launch gets together these entrepreneurs and people with money. They call them sometimes angel investors, if it's just, you know, $10,000 or $20,000. Super angels, if it's $100,000 or $500,000. Venture capitalists, if it's more. Remember in the social network, remember the beginnings of Facebook? There was a lot that was not true in the social network, but this part was true. Mark Zuckerberg, Harvard freshman or sophomore, uses Harvard's resources, essentially, to create the first Facebook. Say, hey, this is pretty cool. This is good, but I'm going to need some money for a server. Gets his roommate, Eduardo Saverin, to give him $5,000. So he's the first investor to run a server. So he's not using Harvard's resources. He's running his own server. $5,000, that's enough. That's for 6 months. Remember, they're not making any money at this point. They're not trying to. In fact, Facebook only in the last year or so has tried to make any money. This is what a lot of entrepreneurs do these days. Is they say, look, let's get it started. Let's grow the user base, and then we'll worry about how to make money on it. Look at Twitter. Twitter was started in 2006 and is only now in 2010 started making, or even looked at starting to make money. What they try to do is they use the word scale first. They get to scale. They get big enough so that an investor will come along and value them at something. You don't want to take money too early because then your valuation's too low. So you wait. You try to get to scale so that you're worth something. So then you go and you get an angel maybe after $5,000 from Eduardo Saverin. Mark Zuckerberg, it scaled. Boy, did it scale fast. He got all of Harvard, then all of the Ivy League. Now he's saying, oh, boy, we need lots of money for servers. He goes to a traditional venture capitalist. This is somebody who has money of his own or others to invest in somewhat high-risk ventures. The theory being that 1 in 10 or 50 or even 100 makes it big. It's kind of the same kind of hit mentality that movies and books have. You know, you spend a lot of money on a lot of movies, and if 1 or 2 of them make it big, you make your money back in some. So Peter Thiel, who's a venture capitalist, says, all right, I'll give you guys, what did he give him? It wasn't much, $500,000? I don't even think it was that much. $500,000. By the way, for that, he got, I think, 20% of Facebook. Not a bad investment. At the last evaluation, I saw that Facebook was worth well over $50 billion. So I think he got his money out of there. He's very happy at that $500,000 investment. And that was enough to get Facebook started. After that, it was easy for them to raise money. So that's the interesting thing, is that here in the States, there's this whole ecosystem around creation and innovation. And you know what? That's so good for us, because it means, you know, sometimes people say, oh my God, there's so much stuff on the web. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. Yeah, that's great. The more variety, the more innovation, the better, because then the great ideas can rise to the top. And, of course, the more ideas in total there are, the more great ideas there'll be. Yeah, sure, there'll be more junk too, but more great ideas that will survive. And I think we have a great ecosystem. I go to, I went to Europe for Le Web in December. European entrepreneurs said, well, it's a little harder here. First of all, we don't have the culture of failure. I said, what? So in the U.S., it's not really a strike against you if you've tried and failed as an entrepreneur. If you've had a startup that didn't make it, it's not a strike against you. In Europe, it is. In Europe, they go, well, I don't know. Can this guy, oh, maybe this guy's a flop. Maybe this guy's a loser. Maybe this guy's a dud. In the States, it's like, yeah. How many, who cares? 5 failures, no big deal. Were these good ideas? Yeah. Did they fail? You learn from it? Are you ready to do the next thing and do it right? Yeah. Great. Here's some money. You're judged on your merit and your idea. There's also this culture of capitals, whether it's angel or super angel or venture capital. There's a culture of that just doesn't exist in Europe. It's a little bit more state. Same thing in South America. Now, Europe has a bigger problem because Europe has a dozen different languages. So it's hard to scale in Europe. If you're making a Twitter in Poland, in Polish, well, you got Poland. But then you have to grow it, you have to get a bunch of different languages. Not such a problem in Latin America, right? Because with the exception of Brazil, it's all Spanish language. So Latin America is a good opportunity there. I think in some ways, just anecdotally, it's a little bit more vital right now in places like Buenos Aires, where people really are starting to get some stuff going. It's very interesting. But we should acknowledge what a great environment we have here for it. Innovation and growth, and how exciting it is. And that's one of the reasons we're seeing so many interesting, exciting new startups every single day. Every single day. And you know what? Some of these are going to be the next Amazons or Apple computers. Let's see. What else? Oh, call in if you want to talk about this or anything that's on your mind with the tech world. 8888 Ask Leo. Apple this week released new laptops. Actually, a whole bunch of companies do because of Intel. Intel updated its Sandy Bridge. This is the latest Intel chip. They announced it in January at the Consumer Electronics Show. It's a thinking processor, the CPU plus the graphics engine all in one chip. So it's more compact. It uses less power. It's faster. And now they have a mobile part, which should give us great battery life. So everybody, from Lenovo to Apple, had new laptops. We'll talk a little bit about that. And this new Thunderbolt replaces a lot of interfaces. All coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Apple's got the big event coming up Wednesday, March 2nd. That's probably, everybody agrees, that's probably the iPad 2. But we'll talk a little bit about that, although there's nothing to say because anything I say would be rumors at this point. No one knows, but we have some thoughts. I will talk more about Lightpeak, a.k.a. Thunderbolt, because Intel's calling it Thunderbolt 2. You know, it reminds me a little bit of FireWire, which was jointly developed by Apple and Intel. The official name of FireWire was, get ready, IEEE 1394. And I think FireWire is a better name, but people didn't use it for a long time because Apple copy or trademarked the name, and people were nervous about saying, well, it's FireWire. Apple really said, we have the copy or the trademark on that. A couple of years ago, once FireWire was pretty much dying, Apple said, oh, anybody could use the name. And we never meant to. So this is similar. This is a joint effort between Intel and Apple and some others. It's called Lightpeak is the somewhat technical name. I guess they learned from the IEEE 1394 debacle that you can't just give it a number and a letter. So they called it Lightpeak. But for some reason, they decided Lightpeak wasn't a good brand name. So Intel and Apple both are calling it Thunderbolt. Which, I'm sorry, but it sounds a little too much like a comic book character for me. I kind of like Lightpeak. The idea is it's fiber connection, a glass connection instead of a copper connection that is very fast. In the current version, 10 billion bits, 10 gigabits per second. Actually, it's copper right now. You're right. It's intended to be fiber. I think the current iteration, the first iteration, Intel wanted it to be fiber. You're right. Absolutely right. Intel wanted it and intended it to be fiber. That's why it was called Lightpeak, L-I-G-H-T, as in, light. And then it was held up because they couldn't, for some reason, they couldn't seem to make it work or whatever. They decided, well, we'll opt for copper, not as fast. Maybe that's why they're calling it Thunderbolt, because it isn't really light yet. So I guess that's why they changed the name, because it is copper. Let's see, what else? There's a lot to talk about, isn't there? But I tell you what, I'll get to the phones. We'll find some more to talk about in just a little bit. I'm very interested in all of this. They said the new Apple laptops, the new Intel chips, the Thunderbolt Lightpeak thing, and of course what Apple will be announcing on Wednesday. And meanwhile, by the way, nobody's standing still with these tablets, and we've got Motorola with the Zoom, which came out Thursday. Motorola charging $800 for it, or $600 if you subsidize it with a 2-year contract with Verizon. Ouch. That's an Android tablet, the first to run the new version of Android called Honeycomb. Honeycomb. I always think of that song, Honeycomb. Was it Jimmy Rogers? Honeycomb. And then, of course, the RIM Playbook, the BlackBerry Playbook, which I like a lot, is coming out too. Samsung still making hay with its tablet, so there's a lot of competition for Apple this time around. We'll see what Apple can do to keep the market. They own it right now. They own it right now. Who's the first call today? Fran in Studio City, California. Hi, Fran. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, I love your show.
Thank you.
I have a quirky email problem. I have a MacBook OS X for running version 10.5.8, and my server is DSL Extreme. I use Microsoft's Entourage for the Mac. I now have version, actually for the Mac 2008, version 12.2.8. And here's the problem, and it's been going on. It's been going on for over a year now. When DSL Extreme switched over to Google servers,
right,
I started having this problem. And what happens is my mail comes into the DSL Extreme server, and for years I've been using Entourage, and it always just got, it came into the server and then it went to Entourage. And I never actually even went to DSL Extreme. I just got all my mail through Entourage.
That's how most people do it.
Exactly. It was a beautiful thing. I loved it. When DSL Extreme switched over, I noticed that some of my mail wasn't getting into Entourage, but there was no rhyme or reason to it. In other words, if you sent me 3 emails, one of your emails would show up in Entourage, and the other 2 would remain on the server. I went to DSL Extreme, spent hours with tech support. They said it was a Microsoft problem. Went to Microsoft, did all sorts of things. I upgraded from 2004 to 2008.
You know, even Microsoft, by the way, has abandoned Entourage. You know they don't do it anymore.
You know, and I'm really very upset about it.
Well, it wasn't a very good program. I know you like it.
Pardon?
I know you like it, but it was not a good program.
Well, you know, it had the Project Center, and for my work, the Project Center worked really, really well.
So the new Outlook on Mac does not do that?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
No.
Well, you know, are you using, let me ask you a couple of questions. Are you using, there's 2 different ways you can collect your mail from your internet service provider in most cases. POP, the most common is POP, Post Office Protocol, POP3.
Right.
The other choice is called IMAP or IMAP.
Right. And it won't, according to DSL Extreme, I can't use IMAP.
Okay, so they don't offer an IMAP server?
Right.
You know, I think the reason that they do that, you know, first, a couple of things. They have a business where they run an Exchange server, which would work best with Entourage or any Microsoft product. They also, because they migrated to Gmail, Gmail does offer IMAP. So,
right.
So you could, you know, instead of I don't know off the top of my head. I don't use DSL Extreme for my email, so I don't know. Did they, when they moved to Google, did they say we'll migrate your mail to Gmail? Do they offer you that option? If you use it on the web, do you use Gmail or are you using DSL Extreme's old webmail interface?
DSL Extreme.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would talk to them. Here's what I would do. I would talk to them about migrating to Gmail, which is a better system anyway. Has really good anti-spam. It has a very good web interface. Most email clients, because it's so widely used, do very well with Gmail. And best of all, it gives you the choice of POP and IMAP. Why would you prefer IMAP? I'll tell you why. The way POP works is your host, your DSL Extreme or your internet service provider, mail server holds your mail as it comes to them. It holds it in a mail bag. Think of it as a mail bag with your mail. You go there with your client, Entourage, Apple Mail, Outlook, whatever you're using, and say, give me the mail. They dump that mail into your local client, and that's it. It's gone from their server. Now, ISPs used to prefer that because it didn't take up space on the server. You'd clear it out each time. And, of course, you could change the settings, say leave on server, but it's not ideal. IMAP works differently. IMAP, the mail always lives on the server. And Entourage or Apple Mail or whatever mail client you're using caches it. It gets the headers. It can get the whole thing if you want. You set how much of it gets. I don't usually get the downloads. I'll get those on demand. I'll get the headers, the text to the email. It means it's faster. It means, more importantly, I can use a variety of programs to get my email on a variety of computers, and the email is exactly the same. The sent, the outbox, everything exactly the same. I'll talk some more about this when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.com. We were talking about email, and the more modern way of getting email nowadays, which is this IMAP solution instead of POP. So, you know, most email clients have a choice between IMAP or POP. I am a big IMAP proponent, have been for years. There's a lot of advantages to IMAP. It's more modern. It's more efficient. It allows you to use multiple machines. You know, one of the problems with POP mail, when you download your mail from the server, that's it. You have the only copy. If you're going to use another device, your phone, your iPad, another computer, a work computer to get your email, you'll only have a copy at home, and there won't be any on the server anymore, and so you can't. And the idea of saying leave on server is kludgy and ugly and doesn't work very well. What you really want is IMAP, which means IMAP is more like Microsoft Exchange, where the internet service provider, in her case DSL Extreme, holds the mail and just pushes out information about it to your various email clients. And you determine on each individual email client how much information. On your phone, you might not want to see the messages, just the headers, and then when you click the header, it'll download the message, so you save bandwidth. At home, you might want to get everything, including the download, so that your local copy is an exact copy of what's on the server. You get the choice. IMAP has another advantage. It's if you send a message, this is to me one of the big advantages. If you send a message from any of your systems, it goes into the sent mailbox, and that sent mailbox is visible on all systems. So you can see all of your sent messages on every system. You can't do that with PopMail. That's a huge advantage. And there's more. So go to IMAP. Now, DSL Extreme, because they've moved to Gmail, has IMAP built in. I would just call DSL Extreme, say, help me move over to the Gmail system. Entourage will work better with it. You won't miss email. PopMail has a problem because think about it. Okay, you go out with your email client to the PopMail server. You download what's there, and then what happens is the local client puts a little marker, a bookmark saying, I got everything up to here. Anything new I want to get. And there can be all sorts of problems with that. That could explain why she was missing some mail. Gmail, which is their new hosting service at DSL Extreme, is really good. I mean, it has good anti-spam features. It's got a great web interface. Every email client in the world works with it one way or the other. I just think it's a natural. Now, I know some people are sensitive about Google in general, but I think really Google is a great solution for a lot of things. Nowadays, almost any smartphone you get, you log into your Google account, it populates all your contacts. It populates your calendar. And if you lose that phone and get a new one, you haven't lost any data. It's just a great cloud-based solution. That's what we mean by that cloud, that little puffy thing. That cloud, that's the internet. The reason they draw a little puffy cloud is it's way too complex to illustrate or draw or even describe. It's just out there somewhere, the cloud. I was talking to somebody. I talk to people all the time who say, "Oh, Leo, I don't trust the cloud. I don't want to put my data in the cloud." And I have somebody told me, and I wish I could give him credit because it was a great analogy. Guess what? You already do. Where's your money? Is it in a mattress? No, it's in the cloud. You have been trusting your financial life to the cloud for decades. The bank doesn't have the money in a vault. You trust the bank to store your virtual money somewhere out there, and when you want it, you retrieve it, and you trust that the bank isn't going to lose it. You might keep track of it just in case, but I think by now we realize it's pretty safe. When a cloud system is well run, is properly backed up, properly maintained, it's absolutely safe. It's probably safer than keeping your money in a mattress, isn't it? Putting your data in the cloud is probably safer than keeping it on your local hard drive. Or better yet, do both. Unlike your money, your data you can have multiple copies of. So you don't have to trust the cloud. Keep a local copy. But I think keeping it in the cloud has huge advantages. Much better than keeping it in your mattress. Will is in Illinois, our next caller. Hey, Will, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm all right. I want to say I really enjoy your show, even though I don't give you credit when I'm talking to other people about the knowledge I learned.
I give you full permission because, after a while, Leo says gets boring. So just pretend you made it up. I do. You think I know all this stuff because I got everything I have. I got from somebody else.
Ah, okay.
Right? We all did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm not out there doing basic research on how microprocessors work.
Well, it helps me out when I'm talking to certain females who don't know much about their computers.
Oh, really? You know women that this impresses? Because, boy, I'd like to meet those.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they don't know something, and I do. And
really?
I'm not a good-looking guy, but it gets my foot in the door,
Wow, that's working for you. Wow, I'm impressed. I guess we geeks have come farther than I realized.
Oh, yeah. It's the time of the geek.
I agree.
But I just purchased the Evo, and I love it. I'm a loyal Sprint customer. I'm having problems because I can't download videos from my computer to my phone and play.
Right.
And it keeps telling me you cannot play. And I was wondering if there's
You have to put it in a format. You remember, as smart as these phones are, and I love the Sprint Evo. It's a beautiful phone. It's 4.3-inch screen. It's even got a little kickstand, so it's made for watching videos. But remember that these things are not as powerful. They don't have as many resources as a full-blown computer. So we're a little spoiled these days. We play high-def video on our computers. I remember very well a day when you couldn't. The computer would go, I can't play this. It's too much data. Well, your phone is basically, that's what's going on. There are only some formats it will play. So what you have to do is figure out what format the Evo wants. You can't just copy a video file to the SD card and expect it to play.
Okay.
Most of the time, cell phones want a format called 3GPP.
3GPP.
So I would guess that Sprint has some sort of way of figuring it. It stands for Third Generation Mobile System or something like that. Anyway, it's a video file format that will play on phones. In fact, if you know, one way to find this out is shoot some video on your Evo. And see what it's recording in.
Oh, okay.
And then whatever that is, we know it'll play that back. So then you can convert. Then you need a program like Handbrake or a similar program. I like. You're on Windows, right?
Yes.
You can use a program called Handbrake, HANDBRAKE.FR. It's a transcoder, free by the way, that will take any video format and turn it into any other format.
Oh, okay.
So once you figure out what the Evo wants, then you just convert your AVIs or your DivX or your QuickTime movies into that format. It may support, it probably does support, if with the appropriate player, a lot of formats, but it may not be able to play them back at a full frame rate, or it may not be able to play back the resolution that they're in. You kind of have to get them into the form that's best for that phone.
Okay.
So Newshound in my chat room is telling me that Real Player SP will also do this. I think that's free as well. So there are a number of ways to convert it, but just dragging it onto the phone isn't guaranteed to work.
Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah.
Now,
even if you had a player, let's say it's DivX, there is a DivX player for Android, but it might be very stuttery because the phone doesn't have enough power. I'm told that the HTC Sync will also work. So you might try using the HTC software and see if that works. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I have to say, Skype is amazing. I was in Montevideo, Uruguay. And I have to tell you, when you're traveling, especially if it was a cruise, and of course cruise ships have internet, but very, very slow internet. You could barely use it, especially if everybody on the boat. There's 1,500, 2,000 people on the boat using one marine satellite connection, which is 1.5 megabits. So if 100 or 200 people are using that connection, it's just it's useless. So I would I would pick my times carefully. Middle of the night is good. I'd get up really early, and then I could download email. Nothing large, but I could at least check my email. And then I'd get on at 1 in the morning and send the email, and that's kind of, and boy, you really appreciate the internet. When we got to Uruguay, by now only 2 days on the boat, I'm already kind of parched. I'm internet famished, and one of our Mac Mania group, Johan, who lives in Tokyo, but he's from Belgium. Talk about confusing, and he speaks Flemish, so I don't know, I'm confused. Anyway, he tweets me, I have found Wi-Fi. Go to the bookstore next to the church. So I went, and he's in a coffee shop, and I found Wi-Fi, and I fired up Skype on my iPhone, and I was able to make a 40-minute call back to the States for like 30 cents instead of the $8 a minute that AT&T would have charged me for a regular cell call. And I tell you what, it was a lifesaver. It really was. So Skype, I'm more and more impressed with Skype. What a valuable technology that is. So you can use Skype to reach us, but you'll have to use the Skype out. That's the ability to call a phone from Skype. anywhere in the world. And it shouldn't cost you anything because it is a toll-free number in the U.S., 888-827-5536. Henry, Sun Valley, California. Hi, Henry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I recently decided to purchase a solid-state hard drive. It's 120 gigabyte solid-state Vertex 2. And I was wondering how to migrate Windows over to the solid-state hard drive. I tried all yesterday, and I mean all yesterday, to do this with our Arcanus.
Acronis.
Acronis. Yeah, they all
True Image. Yeah. Clone. I would try Clonezilla. It's the same. First of all, forget that it's a solid-state drive. That's not relevant. It's a hard drive is a hard drive is a hard drive from the point of view of the software in the computer. So that makes no difference. You're having the same issues you'd have going to a spinning drive. The problem is that Windows does not like to be cloned. You're much better off just reinstalling.
Well, the thing is that I have license codes up the wazoo that I'm on my last machine. So
no, that's fine. You'll move it over. It will say, "I'm sorry, this is already activated," and you call Microsoft and you say, "See, what I did is I got a new hard drive," and they go, "Oh yeah, that's fine." Is it the same machine, just a new hard drive?
Yeah.
Then you probably won't have any trouble. The way the activation, Microsoft's activation is a little opaque. They never have revealed it, but the general thought is that the way the activation works is it looks at all of your hardware, including things like your MAC address on your Ethernet card and stuff like that, and makes a hash of it. If more than, say, 2 or 3, I think even 4 things are changed, then Microsoft says it's a new computer. But just changing the hard drive, you shouldn't have any trouble.
Well, it's more than just Microsoft. I have like Resolute, the other third-party people, and they're quite immaculate. Well, I'm using the wrong words here. I'm sorry. I've been up a long time.
What you're saying is they don't want you to move it to a new hard drive.
Exactly. You know how third-party people are a little bit more ahead of than Microsoft.
Well, it's unfortunate because this is something people do all the time. What if your hard drive dies or crashes? I mean, this is something that's normal in computing. We often will get a new hard drive, and I want to be able to move my apps.
Now, I have one quick question. I tried Clonezilla yesterday, but I got a kernel error. And it said couldn't identify, and I tried to look this up, but I couldn't get.
Oh yeah, don't. You know what? Error. When you get an error, you just say, "Oh, it broke." You can't. Yeah. No, looking up the error is not gonna.
And so then my final quick question.
So Matthew says he's in there. He's in our chat room. He says he's done this a lot. Matthew, he by the way says the activation is simple. It's automated. It's on the phone. It's not going to be too difficult. But Matthew, what do you use to clone? Let's say somebody's got an existing hard drive full of apps, not just Windows, but apps, and he wants to move it all over to a new hard drive. Is Clonezilla the best choice, chat room? I'm asking my brain, if you don't mind. Sometimes they've done it more than I have, Henry. He says he used True Image. That's the program you tried to use. Dan says he's our chat mod. What happened when you used Acronis? Did it not work, or?
Well, here's the deal. I have it backed up into a eSATA docking bay. It's strange. When I install True Image, that drive does not show up any longer. Every other time when I wipe it, go system restore, or uninstall, the drive magically shows back up.
Something's wrong. I don't know what. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Something is wrong. I don't blame you for tearing your hair out. Dan says he's used Acronis hundreds of times to do this. Dan works in IT, so this is something very common with IT. They'll have an image that they blast on. You're saying you made an image of your original hard drive onto a USB drive?
No. I have it on the laptop's hard drive. I have a docking bay, an eSATA docking bay that contains the new solid-state hard drive. When I install True Image, the eSATA hard drive.
Oh, it can't do it from the boot drive. You probably have to run a boot to a CD and then do it.
Okay, and then one technical question, and then I can get on out of here.
Do you have the Acronis CD?
No, I'm using the home trial version.
Okay. Yeah, you need to boot from the CD. The reason is you can't clone a running system.
operating system.
Can't clone it when it's running.
And one quick question: if I were to do a drive bit-by-bit image mirror, it's 105 gigabytes right now, and the partition is of the original operating system is on a 320 gigabyte.
That's not a problem, but 105 is awfully close to the 128 limit of your SSD. So you might have problems. If you're lucky, it'll squeeze in there. But it's not the partition size, it's the data size. I understand your question. Don't worry about the partition size. It's the data size.
Okay.
The Acronis software will burn a boot CD. So look in the Acronis software for burn a boot CD. Burn that boot CD, boot to it. Run the Acronis True Image from that. It may be because the trial, maybe that the trial won't let you do it. I don't know. But you should boot from the boot disk, and then you should be able to clone your internal drive to that external eSATA drive. And now you should swap drives, and you should be able to boot. That all should work. But as you know with computers, should work is a long distance between should work and does work. Hey, I do want to take a break. Thank you for the call. Good luck, Henry. I know that feeling of being up all night. I can't. It should work. And what happens is you get dumber and dumber. It gets harder and harder to do because your brain stops working, and pretty soon you make dumb mistakes. So go to bed. Go get some rest. Don't do anything more till you're rested and calm. Because I've done this so many times where you start fresh and ready, and then you start making mistakes towards the end. And give us a question or a comment or a suggestion. Let me get back to the phones. And Judy in Cardiff by the Sea. Hi, Judy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi there. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Okay, I have an iMac. It's going on about 4 years old, and I have iTunes on it, or at least I did. It's disappeared. And I get when I try to activate the little icon on my screen, I get an error message that says the folder iTunes cannot be found or created and is required. The default location for this folder is inside the music folder.
Right.
And I downloaded the new version of iTunes, but I still can't.
Are you on Windows or Macintosh?
Mac.
That's interesting. I would say there's something going on a little weird maybe with your hard drive. So the way iTunes works normally, if you delete the music folder, not the whole music folder, but if you look within your music folder, there's an iTunes folder. If you delete the iTunes folder from the music folder, it will just recreate it. Now, you don't want to delete it because inside that iTunes folder is all your music, your video, your movies, all that stuff. You don't want to delete it unless you have a backup. But if that folder's not there, iTunes just says, well, I guess you've never run me before, and it will create it and all the subsidiary folders within, including the one it's looking for called iTunes Music.
Right.
The fact that it can't worries me. There's a possible that maybe your hard drive's full. Have you looked to see if there's room?
No. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah, it could be that, or it could be that the drive itself is damaged, or that OS X is acting funny. So I'll give you a couple of things you can do. First thing you should do is make sure you've got enough room. Because you know what? If your drive is full, it's not going to... Usually OS X will say, your startup disk is perilously full. Please delete something. But just to make sure, what you do is you know on the dock there, you've got the little blue and light blue smiley Mac. Just click that sucker.
Okay.
And what that does is it opens a Finder window, and at the very bottom of the Finder window, if you're on your computer or your home folder, normally you'd be on your home folder, it'll say how much space is available. So I'm looking mine when I open it opened it up on the home folder, which I think is the default behavior, and it says 408.36 GB available. So if yours...
When I click on that little smiley guy, I don't... Oh, there it is. Okay. It took a while.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. I think your hard drive's getting a little flaky.
And this computer's been moving very slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's wrong.
So where will it tell me?
At the very bottom of that window. If you look at that window and go all the way at the bottom, it'll say, 28 items, something available.
what I've got, what opened up was the little house.
Yeah, inside. So the house is what you called your home folder. That's not a house. That's your home. And in that window on the home folder, at the very, very bottom of the window there's a gray bar, a status bar we call it, and it has how much is it?
Okay, it says 158.68 GB.
Good, you're great. You got lots of room. So now we've eliminated one possible problem, which is a full hard drive. So that's not the problem. So that means, and given that you've just told me that the system is unusually slow, it sounds to me like the hard drive itself is a little flaky. What happens as hard drives wear or fail is that parts of the drive can't store data or unreliably store data. And your system gets slow because it spends a lot of time trying to get that data, reading it, reading it, reading it. It'll read it a few times until it gets it. But it has to do that a lot. It's going to really slow down the system. Unfortunately, where your iTunes music was, I think, is one of those bad sectors. You need to take it in and get that disc fixed or replaced. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, it sounds like the Doctor Who theme. Is it? No. It's similar. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. It's Muse. Okay, Uprising. Thank you. But it does, doesn't it? I love my brain. And I don't mean my personal brain. I take no pride in my personal brain, especially as I get older. But I got to say, the externalized version of my brain, which is my chat room, is just fantastic. Muse Uprising. See? Boom. Like that. Boom. They know everything. 8888 Ask Leo. Next week I'm going to interview, and maybe we'll play a little bit of on the radio show. I'm going to interview for my podcast network a guy named Ray Kurzweil, who is an artificial intelligence researcher at MIT, perhaps one of the best known, most respected guys in the biz. In the 80s, he wrote a book called The Age of Intelligent Machines, in which he predicted that a computer would beat the world chess champion by 1998. And everybody said, oh, come on, Ray, please be serious. Deep Blue, IBM's computer, beat Garry Kasparov and became the world champion of chess in 1997. So it was even faster. He has predicted that within the next 20 years, by 2029, a computer will pass the Turing test. The Turing test is an interesting test that was proposed during World War II by a visionary computer scientist, one of the people really responsible for computing as we know it, Alan Turing. The Turing test is, I won't give you the details of how it's the procedures, but the upshot of it is, and I think in a very reliable way, that it tests whether an independent human observer who does not know can tell the difference between a computer that he's having a conversation with and a human. Now, right now, if you have a conversation with a computer and a human, you'll know which is the computer. It's obvious. The computer is just an idiot. But Ray says, yeah, that's now. We're getting faster and faster with Moore's law and doubling of processing power every 18 months and all the huge storage. We're getting so that it is inevitable that by 2029, he says, a computer will pass that test. You will be able to have a conversation with a computer that is indistinguishable from a conversation with a human. I talked a couple of weeks ago about Watson, the IBM computer that beat the best in Jeopardy, beat Ken Jennings, undefeated Ken Jennings in Jeopardy, beat him. By the way, I do apologize. When I was talking about that, it was before, the week before that Jeopardy event, and I'm so clueless. I don't follow it, so I didn't know whether it had aired or not. This is how clueless I am. And my chat room was saying that Watson won, and so I repeated that information. I don't know if the chat room knew or not, and I got a number of emails from you, and I do apologize to people saying, I care a lot about the results. Now you've ruined it for me because I know ahead of time. And so I didn't know that, A, it hadn't aired. I didn't know whether Watson won or not. I was just going by what my brain said. So I do apologize for us. I hope I didn't spoil it for you. I do apologize. And I have to say, even though I was out of touch during that event, I have since watched the YouTube of it, and it's pretty amazing. It's almost spooky to watch this computer, not connected to the internet, by the way. It had its own local storage. Now, of course, they probably had enough storage to download most of the internet, so it had a pretty good collection of material. But watch this computer understand the answers and come up with the questions and actually beat the humans. That is fascinating. And Ray Kurzweil wrote an article, that's what I was talking about, for PC Magazine, in which he said, win or lose, this is a significant watershed event. We are getting closer and closer to this moment. He calls it the singularity. David Bix in our chat room says that Watson had 14 terabytes of storage. That's a lot. That's like twice the Library of Congress. That's enough to get a good amount of data in there. Wikipedia is easy. I have the entirety of Wikipedia on my iPhone. That's nothing. That's a few gigs. So very, very interesting, I have to say, as we approach this event, this singularity. And I'll get some of the quotes from Ray on here. Won't be next week, be the week after on the show. But the reason he thinks this is significant, this so-called singularity, is because, now, I asked him, I've interviewed him many times, I asked him at one point, well, wait a minute, okay, so it passes the Turing test. It's indistinguishable from a human, but that doesn't mean it's human, or it uses the same thought processes, or it's as intelligent as, he says, but if it's indistinguishable from a human, does it matter how it's getting there? If it can beat a human at Jeopardy, does it matter if it's using the same process or a different one? If it can beat a human at chess, does it matter if it's mechanical? I guess not. If it's indistinguishable, it's indistinguishable, right? Nobody's saying it has a soul. And maybe there's things that humans do, like paint a painting or act in a play, that it can't do. But if in conversation, and you can have a normal conversation with it, and you can't tell the difference, that's significant. And what his thinking is that when that happens, then things happen very rapidly, because the computers get smart enough to design themselves, to design new, smarter machines. The iteration cycle gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And very soon, we have this kind of Terminator world where the machines are much smarter than us, much better in every respect than us. I said, Ray, that's terrible. It's like the Matrix. It's like the Terminator. What are we going to do? He said, don't worry. They'll revere us as their creators. To them, we will be as God. I hope he's right. I've seen too many science fiction movies. The reason I bring that up is because Ray says by, 2029, the next 2 decades or more, there will come a point where you, instead of dying, can pour your brain into a computer. And that computer will become your body, and that now, admittedly, I think that's not you. That's just a machine that is so good at simulation that it's simulating you. But from the point of view of the outside world, it's indistinguishable from you. And you will live forever. And I think, in a way, that's what this chat room is all about. I've poured my brain into the chat room. So no matter what happens, if you've got a question, go to the chat room. You can do that by going to our website, techguylabs.com. All the show information is there. And by the way, this is 747, show 747. And also, there's a link to the chat room, the live video, and all the other stuff that we do associated with the show. techguylabs.com. Plus, James is writing everything I say down as if it matters, so that you can refer back to it. You don't have to write down the links. Let's say hi to Addie in the UK, in London. Hi, Addie. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's great. I'm so glad you are listening in London.
Yeah, it's because I've got a good internet connection, actually, here. It's a 10 megabit internet connection.
Wow. Wow. So you're on Skype.
Yeah.
And who do you get a 10 megabit up or 10 megabit down?
It's 10 megabit down, unfortunately.
Yeah, because on Skype, all we care about really is up. You know, how fast you have going out. Hang on the line, Addie. At least it's not costing you anything. We'll talk to you and answer your question right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Is that her favorite?
It is.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's very sad. I'm playing a little... Kyle is playing a little Modest Mouse for my dear producer, Rebecca Baker, who's been with me since 2004. And is leaving me. He's going to go work for that evil woman, Stephanie Miller. I'm going to miss you, Rebecca. Rebecca Baker Taylor, I should say, because she got married in between. I still think of her as Rebecca Baker. She is doing her last day of answering the phones for us. So thank you, Rebecca, for a great job. We will miss you. Meanwhile,
you're welcome, Leo.
Aw, thank you. And thank you for playing some Modest Mouse, Kyle. Rebecca's so cool. She's so hip. Hey, look who's here. Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer and the Gizwiz. He does some wacky, crazy, wild gadget show called The Daily Gizwiz. And each day comes up with another fun or interesting or strange or bad, sometimes even bad gadgets. Hey, Dick.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Very well. Nice to see you again.
Hey, you know, I have my calendar out. Just remind me, when are you leaving for your trip? I want to put it
next
down.
year.
Next year.
I was already informed by many people, including the people at the radio show and the people at the podcast network and all the other people, that I may never again take a vacation.
And why is that?
I don't know. They just said you can't take any more. You've used all your
true.
vacation time for the next decade.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes, that's because the corporation is set up that way, but you can change it.
Oh, that's true. It is my company, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to beat up on Lisa.
So how's everything going? You having a good time?
Everything is good. I had such a funny thing happen, Leo. The first week you were away, you know, I promised the chat room, even though we weren't recording Daily Gizwizzes, that I'd stop in.
Yeah.
And so 15 minutes before 5 o'clock, Alex put me online, and Scott must have seen me come up, and Scott Wilson was filling in for you doing your show. And Scott turned the mic on and said, "Hey, Dick, the Gizwiz, so what gadget do you have for us today?" And, of course, I had no gadget. I was there to talk to the chat room.
You have plenty. You always have something.
Yeah, you know what, Leo? It was very funny. I happened to tune in a half hour early, and someone had asked Scott if he knew anything about the Bose TV with the built-in Bose sound.
I know you know about it because you were at that. You told me about that wacky demo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Scott didn't know, so I was able to do 5 minutes on that.
So let me ask you if you had at great risk.
For you
got any gadgets today?
Yeah, you know, Leo, and again, this goes back to your radio show. A caller had asked you about using their cell phone on a regular full-sized handset, and you said, "Well, that's the Gizwiz." I was also in the chat room, and I said it was to check out Panasonic, but since that call, I went to Panasonic and got all the info. So I thought I would talk about it. It's called the Panasonic Link to Cell system.
Oh, this is the idea is that you can use your cell phone as kind of your home phone, right? So it's a cordless phone.
Yes, you can. And what's great about this, Leo, is it even does more, has more features than I thought. So if you only get cell phone reception in one part of the house, you set up the cordless system there. It uses Bluetooth. It can recognize 2 different cell phone numbers.
Oh, that's neat.
So if you and your wife have it, you can set it up. And then you can set it up for a distinctive ring.
Will it use a landline too, or is it only for cell phone?
It will use a landline also.
Oh, because I'm in the market for another phone. So this might be a perfect choice. So the phone would ring if the landline rings or either of our cell phones ring.
Exactly. And you can set all 3 to have distinctive rings so you know what phone is
right, because I
ringing.
don't want to answer her phone.
Exactly. It uses DECT 6.0. 3-way call conferencing. You can add up to 6 handsets. The basic unit lists for $99.
And you get 2 handsets for that, which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
And the base station is also a speakerphone.
Is it an answering machine?
It's an answering machine.
Good. We need that.
Also, a feature that Panasonic has that I like very much is that you can set each handset not to ring during certain hours.
Right. I like that because I don't want it to ring in the middle of the night.
Exactly. So if you have a handset in the bedroom, you can just set that handset not to ring from midnight till 8 a.m., whatever you want.
This is called Panasonic Cell TO.
Link to Cell.
Link to Cell. Okay.
Well, yes.
Wow.
And,
I'm looking on Amazon, $87.95 for the 2 handset base.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Talking
good.
caller ID.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And the voice also has some other prompts like charge battery, things like that. And also another feature I like, it runs on just 2 rechargeable AAA batteries. So you don't have to run around looking for special batteries.
I
when
like
you have
that. Yeah, because most of the time these phones have oddball lithium or NiCads or something. Yeah. This looks good. I like it. Well, I'm going to buy one right now.
Oh, okay. And I don't know if you'll need it or not, but it's wall mountable.
I do need that.
A lot of times, about every 2 or 3 months, I go, Dick, why can't I mount these cordless phones on my wall?
You know what Jennifer really wants? And maybe you could help me.
You mount it on the wall.
Yeah, well, she wants just my head. But besides that, we keep losing the phone, right? She says, why can't I just have a phone with a dial and a really long cord that I can wrap around like when I was a teenager? Do they still even make wall phones? Corded wall phones?
You know what? That's I don't know.
I bet they don't.
That out.
She really wants that. She says, because we keep losing the phone. This way, I know where it is. It's hanging on the wall in the kitchen.
You know what? Get 50 feet of clothesline, tape it to the base unit and to the handset. It'll still work, and she'll fill it home.
Dick's website is gizwiz.biz. You can go there for details on the Panasonic Link to Cell. And all sorts of great gadgets. And by the way, DGW, the Daily Gizwiz, is a great daily podcast that I'm on with Dick, coincidentally, at twit.tv/DGW. Dick, it's great to talk to you. We'll talk to you on the Gizwiz in a few minutes.
I'll be there.
You better, because I don't know what else I'll do if you're not. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, the computer guy, the cell phone guy, the home theater guy, all of that stuff. Tech, you see, is all of that stuff these days. How'd you like to talk about tech for the next couple hours? Let's do it. 8888 Ask Leo, that's my number. If you have a question or you'd like to make a comment or a suggestion, maybe you found something really cool you want to tell the world about. Maybe you want to share your tale of woe. 1-8, whoa, dude. 888-827-5536 is the phone number. 8888 Ask Leo. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S., as all 888 numbers are. If you're outside the U.S., fear not. Fear not, my friends. You can also call us at via Skype at that number from anywhere in the world, and that's also toll free. 8888 Ask Leo. So Tuesday or Wednesday is the big day, March 2nd, right? That's Wednesday. Yeah, that's the big day. Apple will announce something. They didn't say, but I think everybody is in full and solid agreement, as am I, that it's an iPad 2. By the way, the name even doesn't have to be iPad 2. It could be whatever. Whatever. Apple doesn't usually do that. The second iPhone was not the iPhone 2. It was the iPhone 3G. And then the 3GS, right? And then the iPhone 4, which was, in fact, the fourth iPhone. The next iPhone, which will come out in June, could be the iPhone 5, but it could also be the iPhone 2XY399. We don't know. The iPad could be the iPad R2D2. We don't know, but we do think that there'll be a new iPad. I talked a little bit on the last show about what I thought it might be, but it's all speculation, understand? No one knows what it's going to be. It could be anything, but in all likelihood, it will have some improvements. I think a camera is pretty much a given. Some debate over whether it'll have 2 cameras. It'll certainly have a front-facing camera so you could do FaceTime, which nobody does, but you could do if you wanted to do, but nobody does it. And Apple's very committed to having anybody do it that wants to, even though no one does it. FaceTime, that's video calling. And you know what the problem is. Nobody really wants to be seen. If you're sitting down at a computer and you got a camera on the computer and you're talking to family and friends. I use Skype that way all the time. We use Skype video all the time. That's different. But as you're walking around or you're in the car, let's say, where do you use the cell phone the most? Car? Do you need video there? Do you want video there? Do you want to be driving and have to hold the phone like this? No, I don't think so. And you certainly shouldn't be looking at mom on the cell phone. So that's out. Where else do you use the cell phone? Just walking down the street? Well, I don't think it's a good idea to have people walking down the street looking at each other. We already have enough problems with people walking down the street texting. So FaceTime, if you ask me, never. I was one of the few, I think. I think a lot of people I know were so excited. Isn't this neat? Look, when you have when you're a grandpa and your kids have a baby and you can see that. Well, there's some moments like that. Of course, they're wonderful. If you use sign language, it's wonderful. But for most of us, I don't think FaceTime is a big selling point. Nevertheless, Apple does, so they're going to put a front-facing camera. I'd like to see a back-facing camera, not because the iPad itself is a very good form factor for a camera. I've used the Samsung Galaxy Tab, their 7-inch tablet, that has a camera on the back, and it just feels weird holding up this tablet to take a picture. It's kind of, in some ways, it's good because you've got a big screen, so you can really see what you're taking a picture of. You know, I mean, it's like watching TV. And, of course, the thing I like, and the reason I think Apple should put a real camera on the back of the iPad is the software that's available on iOS. I use it on the iPhone all the time. It's really fantastic. I probably have 24 camera apps on my iPhone. Everything from Toon Paint, which takes the picture I take and turns it into a cartoon, to Photo Booth Plus, which makes it in a little, photo strip like you did in a photo booth. Diptyque is fun. I use filters. I use panorama programs like Auto Stitch. I did some great panoramas when I was in South America using the iPhone. And you do it right there, and because it's connected, you send it. And I think that's the kind of thing I think the iPad would be great for, especially that bigger screen. So I'd like to see him put 2 cameras on it. One for the front, that's for Apple, and the 5 of you who use FaceTime, and one in the back for, because it's an interesting platform for cameras, for photography. Right now you can put a lot of these photo apps are available on the iPad, but it's silly because I don't have any photos on my iPad. You'd have to transfer them over, then modify them, then upload them. That's too many steps. That's just like a computer. I can do that on my computer. I don't think it'll have a much higher resolution screen. It's not a very high-res screen right now. In fact, it's barely competitive with the other screens out there from Motorola, the Zoom, the BlackBerry Playbook, the Samsung Galaxy S. All of them have better screens. So I think Apple will have to improve the screen at 1024 by 768. You know what? Part of the problem is not just the number of dots, but that it's not a widescreen. It's 4:3. It's like your old TV. It's not a widescreen. I think everybody else is doing widescreens, aren't they? Except for the Zoom. Is the Zoom widescreen too? I think wides, but they're not going to do a Retina. They're not going to do the kind of resolution that you have on the iPhone right now. They're not going to put on a big screen because it's hideously expensive and the battery life would go down. And I think one thing we can be sure of is that the next iPad will not cost more than the existing iPads and cannot offer less in any regard, especially battery life. So you can increase the screen resolution, but it hurts you in the pocketbook and on the battery life, so maybe not that. Here's where I really think that they're going to go. It's going to be cosmetic. Remember, Apple's got to do something to make you want one. You're happy with your $500 iPad 1. How are they going to get you, and they've already sold tens of millions of them, how are they going to get you to go out and buy more? Well, I remember what Cadillac did in the 50s. They put fins on it. I don't think they're going to put fins on the iPad, but they're going to do something to make the old iPad look old. Detroit's known this for years. It's not that you functionally improve the iPad anyway. You just have to make the old one look old so that people go, oh, that's old. It's the wide tie effect. So I think it'll be thinner and lighter. It'll be sexier. I wouldn't expect a lot more functionality except for the cameras. Maybe, I'm hoping, they'll put these new processors in it. Apple uses an A4 processor, which is based on the Cortex A8. It's an ARM processor. The new, is that right? Is it A8? The A9, the new ARM processor that everybody else is using, is dual processor. That's what's in the Motorola Atrix. That's what it'll be in the Zoom, I think. Is an A9-based processor. So I expect Apple to update their processor to dual-core, 2 1 gigahertz chips in the iPad 2. Twice as fast? That's great. What's not to like about that? Do you need it twice as fast? I've never heard one person complain that the iPad's not fast enough. Never. But remember, we're not trying to make it better. We're trying to make it more desirable. Sexier. So they will do it thinner, not smaller, not a smaller screen. No, heaven forfend. Steve's already said nobody wants a smaller screen. Pay no attention to that Samsung Galaxy Tab that's already sold over 1 million units. Pay no attention to that. Nobody wants that 7-inch screen. They want the big screen. So thin, sexy. Maybe a little more battery life. I think they could do that. Faster processor, they could do that. Faster video, they could do that. Maybe more memory, maybe not. I don't know. And a camera, pretty sure. There you go. Somewhat grok in my chat room is saying, no, I'll say it. The iPad isn't fast enough. You're just saying that. Anyway, we'll find out. All of this is pure speculation. No one knows. We'll find out on Wednesday, and I certainly will talk about it next week. And you can talk about it today if you want. 8888 Ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Tonight. Now, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the new host of the Tech Guy Show, Mr. Scott Wilkinson. Hey, thank you so much for filling in. You did too good of a job.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be better than me. That's not allowed. And everybody, I tell you, I got from the top on down, everybody said, that Scott Wilkinson guy, he's good. He's good. They loved you.
Much.
And all the listeners enjoyed 2 days of home theater. That's great. So thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. It was a wonderful experience. I just had a blast. And the crew there, John and Alex, were great help, let me tell you. I had a new appreciation of what you have to do and keep in mind as you're doing the show. It's quite remarkable.
Oh, it's no big deal, but it is good to have some help from time to time.
Well, and hey, you're used to it. You know,
yeah.
You've been doing it for years now, so it's no problem to push this button and then that button and then one thing and another. So I really appreciated John and Alex's help to keep things moving along smoothly. But I have to say, I just had a wonderful time. And, anytime you want to go on vacation, please feel free.
Actually, according to the chat room, I should go on vacation now. So
No. I would never want to usurp you. You do such a fabulous job that there's no way I could in any way fill those shoes. But
so for people who went out and bought, against my advice, 3D TVs and 3D Blu-ray players, and only had like 2 movies you could watch. I guess there's another one out now. Megamind is out in 3D. Is that right?
Well, it's actually not out in 3D yet. It came out on Blu-ray last Friday.
Oh, criminy. Why don't they put it out in 3D?
Well, this is a very good question, and it's really a problem because there aren't very many movies out on 3D. There may be 30 or 40 now, so all told. So that's actually...
that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Is it? You have a long memory. Is this kind of like it was when DVDs first came out or when Blu-ray first came out? There were just a handful of movies, and you just had to live with it?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And, in fact, at CES, one of the manufacturers, Samsung, I believe, said that over 1 million 3D TVs had been sold in 2010, essentially the first year that they were available.
1 million suckers! I'm going on the rampage here.
You are.
I've decided I'm not holding back.
Well, I have to say that 3D on a 50-inch TV at the distance people normally sit from their TVs is not really that effective. It just really isn't that good. You need a really big TV, and Vizio has a 65-inch. Mitsubishi just introduced a 92-inch rear projector that's 3D capable. Now you're starting to talk about something that's effective in terms of 3D. So the larger the screen you can get, the better it is for 3D. Now, I actually went to Dolby Labs here in Burbank yesterday and saw Megamind. They just released it on 2D. We suspect that it's going to be released in 3D as an exclusive bundle. And this is, I got to tell you, one of the stupidest things that the industry is doing, which is releasing a bunch of titles as exclusive bundles.
It drives people crazy.
It drives crazy.
Because you buy, and of course, the reason, it's obvious, it's greed. So that's why it drives people crazy, because you buy the movie, you buy the Lord of the Rings, and then, oh, you want it in Blu-ray? Oh, buy it again. Oh, you want all the extras? Oh, buy it again. Oh, you want it 3D? Oh, buy it again. And it's just greed.
Well, I'm talking about the fact that if you want Avatar 3D, the only way to get it until, sometime maybe in the fall is to buy a Panasonic TV or Blu-ray player.
The bundle is with a TV.
It bundles
even
exclusively with a TV. And there's a lot of 3D titles that are being sold that way. You can only get them if you buy a Samsung TV or a Panasonic TV. And I just hate this.
Yeah.
I just hate this. This is shooting themselves in the foot, the industry, along with the fact that Panasonic glasses don't work with Samsung TVs and vice versa. That the glasses you have to wear, which are these active glasses that alternate on and off so that your right eye only sees the right eye image, your left eye only sees the left eye image, they're completely incompatible. This is so stupid, so monumentally stupid.
Do you think people in the internet era, the Twitter era, are more aware of these kinds of greedy moves and more likely to reject them? I mean, people, let's face it, business has always been greedy. They always have tried to maximize profits at our expense. But
Well,
I
yes,
think
plus
now
the fact that TVs are on razor-thin margins.
Right. So I understand, but I just think that we are, the internet generation, the internet consumer, is much less tolerant of this kind of stuff.
Yes,
I think we're in the
think that's
age of rebellion.
Well, we do seem to be in the age of rebellion.
We do, and I think some of it's because of awareness, because of knowledge.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I hope the industry picks up on that. Certainly, as I say, they're shooting themselves in the foot. If they want more profits, they're probably not getting them because people are not buying because they're mad.
They're just making people mad. They're not making more money. They're making people mad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is a problem. I agree. And yet I have to say that I am still following 3D very closely because it is what's happening now. I mean, I'm a journalist. I have to follow what's happening now. I put up a poll question a few weeks ago on, when do you think 4K will be coming? Because you and I talk a lot about this, that 3D is now, and you're always saying, yeah, but when's 4K? Because that's what's really important. And a lot of people agree with you. And yet I don't think it's going to be for several years because 3D is relatively inexpensive to do. TVs now can already do it. 4K, you've got to build new panels. You've got to have a new delivery system. You're going to have a new disc format. And if you want to download 4K, you better have a lot of bandwidth coming into your house. So that's going to be a few years down the road. 5 years, Shorty Dog says in the chat room. And that was the general consensus of the poll question. I said, how long do you think it's going to be until 4K makes it generally into the home? And you can get it now. You could buy a $200,000 4K projector.
Yeah, but there's no, what would you play into it?
But there is. If you live in L.A. and you join the Bel Air Club for $100,000.
Where do I get an application? I'm ready to join. Buffy. Quick, Buffy. Hop in the rolls. Let's head over to the Bel Air Club. What do we get?
Exactly. You get for $100,000 entry fee and $4,000 a month. You get 4K movies delivered to your home, messengered to your home on hard disk servers.
I'll take it. Wow, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding.
What an interesting service. Is the Bel Air Club like a country club?
No, you get it delivered to your home.
No, but I'm saying, who are these people and why are they doing this?
Well, they're mostly the Hollywood moguls.
It's the fancy people.
It's the very fancy people, yeah.
Okay, Buffy.
It's the really high-end Hollywood hotshots, the stars and the people who live in Malibu and stuff like that. And they have these $200,000 4K projectors. Then they get this stuff delivered. Sure. And somebody said that in one of the comments on that poll was, well, you can get 4K now. Just join the Bel Air Club.
I love it. Well, someday this will happen. And
yeah, it will. It will.
And you'll see what I was talking about.
And even better than 4K is something called Ultra HD.
That's
which
better?
Is like, yeah, it's like 7K pixels, 7,000 something pixels across by whatever number of pixels down. Japan's already working on this. NHK, the Japanese broadcasting network, the big, the network over there.
TV, yeah, NHK.
TV station, yeah.
They were the first to do HD. So
They
really
They used an analog format called Muse,
right,
and the digital format that we use now kind of took over. But they're now working with what's called Ultra HD, and so some people in the comment section of that poll said, 4K, old news already. It's Ultra HD that's going to leapfrog over that.
Scott Wilkinson, editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV Magazine, ultimateavmag.com. Thanks for joining us. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Okay, I've got an old Pentium 4. I've got a 2.8 processor. It's a 865 Pearl Intel board. I've got a 7500 ATI Allen Wonder, which has.
Oh yeah, that was a nice little card, and that does have video in on it.
Yeah. Now here's my question. I've actually sort of changed my mind. What I was going to ask you. I've seen these boxes you can get to copy your 8mm films.
Right.
And you put your projector sign on it and you copy it.
Oh yeah. You mean you when you say 8mm, you mean film. You mean 8mm film, Super 8 film.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've got some old 1960 movies.
Yes.
Movies. Do they make a box? I've seen these boxes you can get that has where you can copy slides. In front of your film and negatives.
Right.
Do they make one you can take individually?
If you go to, they're very expensive, and it's very time-consuming, as you might imagine, because you've got 24 frames per second that you've got to digitize. Correct. But if you go to a really high-quality film digitizing service, that's often what they do. They have a special machine that they can put the film in, and it goes scan, scan. And that's kind of what you would want, but those are extremely expensive. It'll give you the best quality. It'll give you superb quality, but it's not practical for home use.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, these little kinescopes, I can't remember what they call them, something like that it basically is a light box with a mirror that you shoot your camcorder into. That's going to give you a pretty good result, and a lot faster.
Okay.
And you can make them, by the way, if you can get plans for them and make them yourself. It's not a complicated thing to do. It's just a mirror and a wooden box that blocks the light, but you can also buy them.
How much would the software run? Is there any type of special?
There isn't. You already have it. You use a camcorder, so there's no software. You just need a camcorder that you can import from.
Okay.
And then whatever software you want, I'd recommend Adobe Premiere Elements. It's under $100. Excellent video editing program, and it's got DVD burning too, and I think that would do a great job. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it's time to talk about computers and cameras, the internet and cell phones, home theater, everything that, has a chip in it that's digital. That's what this show is about. It's a tech show, and I love to answer your questions, but I also love to get your recommendations and your suggestions and even your critiques, commentaries, and corrections. 8888 Ask Leo is the number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S., outside the U.S., use Skype, 888-827-5536. Skype out will be toll free. Truckee in our chat room. By the way, our website is techguylabs.com. That's where the show notes are, thanks to James DeRuvo. And you'll also see a link there to the video of the show, because we do stream video. I know it's fascinating watching somebody talk on the radio. Nothing quite like it. We also have a great chat room. That's much more interesting. And that link is also at techguylabs.com. 796 people in there right now. But Truckee asked a question. He said, have you mentioned the Amazon streaming yet? No, I have not. It's interesting that Amazon has gotten into the game competing against Netflix. You all know what Netflix is. At first, it was DVD by mail, right? You spend $15 a month, and you get 3 DVDs. They come in the mail, and you watch the movie, send it back, you get a new one, no late fees. I always thought it was a great idea. I've been a Netflix member since they started, 7 or 8 years ago. And then lately, because it's so easy to pirate a CD, I think the movie industry and the television industry has really been pushing Netflix and others towards digital streaming. A lot harder to pirate a digital stream. Once you got a DVD, it's easy to make a copy on your hard drive. You can make a copy of a digital stream, but it's not as easy and it doesn't look as good. Especially if you're not watching it on a computer, but you're watching it on something like, say, a Roku box or your Vizio or Panasonic TV or Blu-ray players or your PS3 or your Xbox 360. Basically, those are piracy-free platforms, so the movie industry loves them. Netflix even says, yeah, we're moving in that direction, mostly because the movie industry is shoving them in that direction by doing things like restricting the number of DVDs they can have of any given movie, by telling Netflix you can't have a movie for a month after it's in the video stores or on video on demand. That's very common. By charging them more for those movies, they really want to move everybody towards a streaming model. And you know what? I don't mind. Quality's not as good, but isn't it great to be able to sit down at your TV and choose from thousands of different movies on the spur of the moment, not have to go out to a video store or go online and pick a movie and wait till it's mailed to you? I think that's nice. Now, when Netflix first started doing this a couple of years ago, their selection was pretty limited. It's gotten bigger and bigger. They've really gotten aggressive, and I think the movie industry in the long run is going to say, reward them for doing this by saying, yes, you can have everything. We prefer you do that to DVDs. So it's a growing market for Netflix, and I think Netflix themselves says this is where we're headed. We want to get rid of discs, too. Costs them a lot of money to mail it, give you the postage paid mailer to get it back. They got to process it. Much easier to do the digital. Cheaper. Well, now Amazon is in the game. Amazon is trying this out. Far fewer movies, only 5,000 movies to choose from. And I'm not sure, initially I thought, oh, Amazon's going after Netflix. But after I think about this a little bit, I realize it may not be the case. Because when you search for a movie on Amazon to watch it streaming, they'll also show you the rental version, the DVD version to buy. I think, in fact, it's a great way, especially with a restricted list, for Amazon to get you to buy more movies, to rent more movies. Yeah, these are free, but that movie you're looking for, that's not free. That'll cost you $2.99 to rent. It's clever. I think they plan to make money on it. Right now, they're offering it free, but only to Amazon Prime subscribers. Man, these guys know how to market. You know what Prime is? Prime, you pay the privilege. You pay for the privilege, $79 of shopping at Amazon. What do you get for it? Well, you get free 2-day shipping. And if you use Amazon a lot, it's a great deal, and it certainly seals you in. As a Prime member myself, I know. I always search for something first on Amazon. Why? Because free shipping. Free 2-day shipping. I know I'll get it day after tomorrow. As long as the price is competitive, I'm going to go for Amazon. So this is a big win for Amazon. Not only do they get you looking on Amazon's site for movies that probably you can't watch streaming, but you can buy, so they're going to get more purchases. They also encourage you to pay $79 as one more premium, one more reason to become an Amazon Prime member. And that's in their interest because it means you're locked into Amazon for all your purchases. Very clever. These guys are brilliant marketers. Quality on streaming for Netflix and Amazon, pretty good. Pretty good. The real issue for Amazon is right now almost all the new Blu-ray DVD players, most of the new TVs, the Roku box and all these other boxes, the Boxy box and the Google box and all that stuff, for the most part support Netflix, but don't necessarily support streaming from Amazon. They need, and they don't have the iPad and the iPhone apps and all of that stuff that Netflix has. But I'd love to see the competition. To me, that's a great thing. Harry, Torrance, California. He's our next caller. Hi, Harry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good morning, Leo.
Good morning.
We're looking at the 52-inch Sharp Aqua LC 55LE 925.
I like the Sharp Aquos a lot. I don't really go for this Quattro thing they're doing.
Oh, the Quattro color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nonsensical. Because,
oh, really?
Yeah, because no signal is sent out with that fourth color. It's all red, green, blue. Nobody says red, green, blue, yellow. So what if the TV can see yellow? It doesn't matter. It's a gimmick. And believe me, the television companies aren't reluctant to do gimmicks. On the other hand, I think Sharp TVs are excellent. So just don't worry about the Quattro one way or the other. I wouldn't pay more for Quattro, even if Mr. Sulu says, "Oh my." That doesn't do anything for me.
Well, there was talk on the internet. I didn't quite get it, of some additional capability that they're supposed to have, but
well, they do. I mean, but it doesn't. But if you can't get any content with that additional capability, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, they're going to add something to it next year, but they were
maybe next year. Talk to me next year. And to be honest, even if it has a yellow channel, there's no evidence that that's going to make it better somehow. They show, I've seen this TV. Of course, they showed it last year at CES and again this year at the Consumer Electronics Show. And what they show is a lot of pictures of trumpets, things with yellow in it. And boy, the stuff, the yellow jumps.
Yeah, fields of yellow flowers.
Fields of yellow flowers. But how much stuff do you watch with? I mean, how often is this needed? And does it improve the overall color of the television? In my opinion, no. And I think Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, agrees with me 100%. I know he and I both mock Quattro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How would that compare to the Bravia?
The Brevia, the Sony Brevias, those are also excellent TVs. I'll be honest, I'm kind of a Samsung bigot. I think the Samsung Plasmas or the Samsung LCDs, you want the LED backlit LCDs. I think are the best TVs out there. But I think Sharp. I've had Aquoses for years. I like Sharp Aquoses. I don't think anything's wrong with them. I think they're very good televisions. Sony's Brevias are excellent. They're good looking. I'm just a Samsung fan.
Yeah, I like them myself.
Yep.
So.
Yep. If when I go out, well, actually, the two TVs I own are Pioneer Plasmas. Back when Pioneer still made Plasmas, they were, in my mind, and Scott also agrees with me, the best TVs made. In fact, when he said they're not going to make the Kuro anymore, I immediately went out and bought a Kuro just because I wanted to have that TV. But if I were buying a TV today, I'd buy a Samsung.
Okay. Well, that helps me out.
Thanks. Enjoy your new TV. I tell you, whatever you get, make sure you get a Blu-ray player, and you're just going to love it. I mean, all of them look fantastic. Bill's in Idaho, our next caller. Hey, Bill, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm having a problem with downstreaming on my television from Netflix. And what I have is a Sony Bravia LCD TV, and with the home theater and Blu-ray, the whole works. And between what happens when I'm watching it downstream in a movie, sometimes it'll go all the way through the movie, it'll be fine. Sometimes it'll stop instantly.
So it's almost certainly not the hardware, the TV, it's your internet connection.
Well, I went from a 1.5, and it was working when I had that, and increased that to 7. And that still doesn't, I still have the problem.
So, and that's important because, people often say, well, how could that be? I've got 20 megabits down. But the issue is, what do you have consistently? And I see this a lot because we do stream audio and video. And I hear from people all the time who say, your video's stuttering. It's buffering was what's happening. Video is very hard to do. If you think about it, if you're watching a high-def movie on Netflix or you're streaming my video, what you're getting is basically a very long download. And the higher quality of the video, the bigger the file. And here's the key. It's got to be consistent bandwidth. If, you're using Wi-Fi, for instance, Wi-Fi frequently stops working and starts again. Not a big deal on a web page. It just means like the web page is a little slow. But a very big deal on video. A couple of seconds lost on video and you've got to rebuffer. That's that's hundreds of frames gone. So while it may seem you have more than adequate bandwidth, it really is more than just the nominal or the bandwidth they promise you. It's how consistent it is. It's whether you're on Wi-Fi. If you're having trouble with Wi-Fi, go hardwired. It'll be a lot better for you. And it may be the router you're using as much as the internet service provider. So it's almost certainly the internet. And it's a question of getting a more reliable, more consistent connection. That's the key. Harold's in Greenville, South Carolina. Hi, Harold. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello?
Hey, Harold. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Just a second.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I got an email the other day for myself.
What? How could you get an email from yourself?
Okay.
Who was it? Who was it actually from? Was it spam?
Well, it came straight in from an email. I have a Yahoo email account, and it said from me at Yahoo to my other email account. And
what was the content of the email?
It was a spam. It was something that I could reduce your urge to smoke.
Okay. So there are a couple of possibilities. First of all, the first thing to remember, most importantly, is that email, the way it's designed right now, provides no authentication for the sender. In other words, it is easy for me to change I could do it right in the email client, change my sending address to be whitehouse.president at whitehouse.gov or anything else, or Harold from Greenville, South Carolina, or anything else. So there's no email in no way verifies the sending address. So with an email client, you can just change it. Spammers frequently do that. What does a spammer have? He has a list of addresses, and he just populates it. Now, there is a thing that you said that concerns me, Harold, because it isn't the same address it was sent to. That's frequent. You'll see that a lot in a spam, where it came from that address and it went to that address. That's an easy thing for the spam software to do. But it's not that. It was a different, it was your address, right? But it was your Yahoo address.
Yeah.
That's a little concerning, because it seems highly unlikely to me that that spammer would have those two addresses connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing I do, if you see anything like that happens, it's kind of weird, I'd immediately change your Yahoo password and your other email password. Do not hesitate to change your email passwords regularly, okay?
Okay.
Email passwords leak out, and Yahoo Mail has lately been a very common source of hacking. I saw this, it happened, I told this story a couple of weeks ago. My gardener, I got an email from my gardener. He said, I'm stuck in London. Somebody stole my passport, all my money. Please send me $1,000, and I'll pay you back the minute I come back to work. It had his name. It had his email had been hacked. The hackers went through his Yahoo account, figured out what would be a reasonable thing to write, and sent out that message to everybody they knew. That would be my concern. So change your passwords just to be safe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week. I'll see you next time.